Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with my series on the goddess, understanding the goddess. And so far we have discussed, starting from Parvati, who's the mother, who's the origin of all the Shaktis, or the powers of the goddesses. We did discuss about Kali, we did discuss about Kamala, and as a matter of fact, we are going along in this video series initially to discuss about the 10 Mahavidyas, which is the 10 great powers. And why it's called Vidyas is Vidyas means knowledge, and knowledge, as we know, is power. And how these 10 Mahavidyas, or 10 great powers, which are actually nothing but the source, like I said again, is the goddess Parvati, came into existence. And the story I've discussed in my earlier videos, but I'll have a quick recap here. That Sati, the wife of Lord Shiva, she attended Daksha Prajapati's fire ritual uninvited, although Shiva had advised her not to. And when she saw there that all the gods and the rishis and the sages were invited in the fire ceremony, but not her own husband, she became very angry, and all of a sudden, out of her anger, these 10 Mahavidyas, or 10 great powers, emerged. And then of course she jumps into the fire, and she destroys herself, and then she gets reborn as Parvati, and she again goes ahead to marry her husband, Lord Shiva, who was her husband in her past birth. So this is how the story of the 10 Mahavidyas, or the 10 great powers, or 10 great knowledge powers, which is nothing but Shaktis or powers, came into existence. But there's another story. Today we'll be talking about Tripura Sundari, which is one of the 10 Mahavidyas, one of the 10 great powers. And the story of Tripura Sundari, some people call it Tripura Mahasundari, and some people call it Tripura Sundari. Maha means great, but Sundari means beautiful. So she is, and Tripura means the three worlds. So why she is called three worlds is that she is the most beautiful in the three worlds. So Tripura Sundari, who is a Mahavidya out of the 10 great powers, or 10 great Shaktis of the goddesses, which is also called 10 Mahavidyas, is one of those powers, Tripura Sundari. And she's described also at places as a 16-year-old goddess, and at some places she's also described as Lalita, goddess Lalita, and in other places she's also described as goddess Raja Rajeshwari. So you'll see different descriptions, or rather names, of the same Mahavidya, which is one of the 10 powers of the great goddess Parvati. Some people call it Tripura Sundari, some people call it, or at places rather, she's worshipped as Mahatripura Sundari. At places she is worshipped as Shodasi, which is a 16-year-old goddess. At places she is worshipped as Lalita. At places she's worshipped as Raja Rajeshwari. So don't get confused with these names. These are all the names or different forms as she is worshipped in different places in India with different names, but actually she is Tripura Sundari. Once again, one of the 10 great powers, or the one of the 10 Mahavidyas, which came out of Sati's body. And Sati and Parvati, as we know, who is the consort of Lord Shiva, is the same. So the story goes, there's another story here which goes how goddess Lalita, or Tripura Sundari, was created or came into existence, is that there was a great demon called Tatarkasur, who had a boon that he could only be killed by the son of Shiva and Parvati, and Shiva was in great meditation. So the gods assembled together and say, well, how do we get Shiva, Lord Shiva, out of his meditation so that, he goes into the love-making process and produces a child, and so that the child can kill this great demon called Tarkasur, who is disturbing the entire universe. So they send the god of love, who's also called Manmatha, and Manmatha shot his flower arrow into Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva opened his eyes, and he was very angry because he was disturbed from his meditation, and he burnt Manmatha, the god of love, into ashes. And then that created a lot of upset to Rati, who was the god of love's Manmatha's wife, and she pleaded with Lord Shiva to bring him back to life. The story is very detailed, but I'm going as a very short kind of a recap, or a description rather, that she went to Lord Shiva and asked for forgiveness and requested him to bring her husband, the god of love, Manmatha, back to life. And God Shiva, or Lord Shiva, he got pleased, and he looked at the ashes, and from the ashes emerged Bandasura, who's also a demon. And Bandasura was supposedly the incarnation of Manmatha, the god of love. But this time, when he was created out of the ashes of the god of love, he became demonic-like. He became like a demon and started disturbing the gods again. And then again, the gods assembled, and then they requested the Nirguna Brahman, who's the ultimate god, who is nothing but the pure consciousness of God, no form. And they requested him to destroy this big demon called Bandasura, who was created out of the ashes of the god of love, Manmatha, who was troubling the gods. And the Nirguna Brahman then agreed to take the form of Tripura Sundari, or Lalita Tripura Sundari, for the benefit of the universe, to destroy this Asura called Bandasura. So the Puranas are kind of very detailed and descriptive, and you'll see a lot of references in the Puranas about the gods and the goddesses, and how the gods and the goddesses were created. But we are discussing about basically the energies of the goddesses, trying to understand who this goddess Tripura Sundari is and how she is associated with astrology as well. So like I said, she has different names. Also, the Sri Vidya tradition, and we'll discuss into Sri Vidya tradition in a little more detail in our other videos, forthcoming videos. But the Sri Vidya tradition, where you have a Sri Chakra or the Sri Yantra, you would have heard, that is also associated with goddess Tripura Sundari. So there are different names, like I mentioned, plus then there's the Sri Vidya tradition, which is associated with Tripura Sundari, and the Sri Yantra and the Sri Chakra. But as far as the planetary connection with Tripura Sundari is concerned, Tripura Sundari is directly connected with the planet Mercury, as per the tantric tradition. Just like Kamala, one of the Mahavidyas, is associated with the planet Venus, just like Kali, one of the Mahavidyas, is associated with the planet Saturn. We've discussed in our earlier videos. Tripura Sundari, as one of the Mahavidyas, out of the 10 Mahavidyas, is associated with the planet Mercury, as per the tantric tradition. So whenever there is an affliction in the birth chart related to the planet Mercury, people try to appease the goddess Tripura Sundari, because there's a direct connection here. But since this is a tantric form of the goddess, or the 10 Mahavidyas, or the 10 great powers, I'm going to say that please exercise extreme caution in worshipping the goddess if you're doing it to appease the planet Mercury, or to do remedies for an afflicted Mercury in your birth chart. It has to be done under the supervision of an expert tantric master. So, but there's a connection, direct connection of the planet Mercury with Tripura Sundari. So this was a little description. Like I said, you know, in the Puranas there are detailed description of the goddesses and the gods, but we're just going in a very short description just so that I do not confuse you much. This was the origin of Tripura Sundari, how she was created. What is the origin? Origin is Parvati again, or actually Sati, out of whose body the 10 Mahavidyas were created, and the connection with the planet as far as Tripura Sundari is concerned. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. In the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel, check out my website, there is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic very soon. Goodbye.